world of software development is changing at a remarkable speed. Artificial intelligence is no longer a distant concept discussed in academic papers. It has become a practical tool used every day by programmers around the globe. This rapid integration of AI is fundamentally altering the way software is created, tested, and maintained. For decades, the process of building code followed a predictable path, with established roles and a clear hierarchy of skills. Now, that entire structure is being questioned. The very nature of what it means to be a developer is being redefined by powerful algorithms and large language models that can write, debug, and even design software components with startling efficiency. At the heart of this transformation are AI-powered coding assistants. Tools like GitHub Copilot and advanced models such as ChatGPT are becoming indispensable coworkers in the digital workplace. These systems can generate entire blocks of functional code from simple text prompts. They can identify and fix bugs in seconds, a task that might have taken a human developer hours to complete. This level of automation streamlines the development lifecycle, accelerating project timelines and increasing productivity. The result is a profound shift in expectations. The baseline level of output for a single programmer is rising dramatically, driven not just by individual skill, but by their ability to leverage these intelligent systems effectively. This new reality presents a significant challenge, especially for those at the beginning of their careers. The traditional path for a junior developer involved learning the ropes by handling routine, repetitive tasks. These were the assignments that built foundational knowledge and practical experience. A beginner might be asked to write simple scripts, fix minor bugs, or create basic unit tests. These were the essential building blocks of a software engineering education, learned on the job. However, these are precisely the kinds of tasks that modern AI tools now excel at. The very work that once served as the training ground for an entire generation of programmers is being automated away. The implications of this shift are far-reaching and complex. On one hand, the automation of mundane work frees up human developers to focus on more creative and strategic problems. This could lead to more innovative and robust software solutions. On the other hand, it removes the first critical rung on the career ladder. If the entry-level tasks disappear, how will aspiring developers gain the necessary experience to advance? This automation of introductory work creates a paradox. While the demand for senior engineering talent remains high, the pathway to becoming a senior engineer is becoming increasingly obscured. We are witnessing the erosion of the very foundation upon which technical careers have long been built. The disappearance of traditional entry-level tasks creates a serious pipeline problem for the entire tech industry. Companies have long relied on a steady stream of junior talent who could be trained and molded into future leaders. This system depended on the availability of work that was simple enough for a novice, but essential enough to justify their employment. As AI assistants absorb this workload, the economic justification for hiring large cohorts of junior developers weakens. Businesses may find it more cost-effective to equip their senior developers with powerful AI tools rather than invest in training newcomers who, initially, will be less productive. This creates a bottleneck at the entry point of the profession. For students and career changers, this new environment is daunting. The advice they have been given for years, learn to code, build a portfolio, and get an entry-level job, is becoming obsolete. They may master programming languages and understand computer science fundamentals, but they arrive in a job market where the roles they prepared for are shrinking. The skills that once guaranteed a foothold in the industry are now table stakes, or worse, are tasks that can be performed faster by an algorithm. This raises a critical question. What skills should aspiring technologists focus on when the very definition of a beginner's job is in constant flux? The uncertainty creates a barrier to entry that could discourage a new generation from pursuing careers in technology. The long-term consequences of this entry-level gap could be severe. If companies stop hiring junior developers, they will eventually face a shortage of experienced, mid-level, and senior talent. The skills and institutional knowledge that are passed down through mentorship and on-the-job training will begin to erode. An organization composed solely of senior engineers and AI assistants would lack the diversity of thought and experience that comes from nurturing new talent. Innovation often comes from fresh perspectives, and by closing the door to newcomers, the industry risks becoming stagnant and insular. The short-term productivity gains from automation could lead to a long-term talent deficit. This situation forces us to confront an uncomfortable reality. The market, left to its own devices, may not solve this problem. The incentives for an individual company are aligned with maximizing efficiency and minimizing costs in the short term. Automating junior-level work fits perfectly within this model. Without a concerted effort from industry leaders and educators, we risk creating a two-tiered system, a small, highly paid group of senior experts who can effectively wield AI, and a large pool of aspiring developers who are locked out of the profession. This is not just a problem for individuals, it is a systemic risk for the future health and growth of the entire technology sector. In this new era, the responsibility for training the next generation of tech talent can no longer rest solely on the old model of on-the-job learning through simple tasks. Companies must proactively design new pathways for growth. This means moving beyond the expectation that junior developers will learn by fixing minor bugs or writing boilerplate code. Instead, training programs must be fundamentally reimagined. They could take the form of structured, intensive boot camps within the company, where new hires work on simulated, complex projects under the guidance of senior mentors. The focus must shift from performing repetitive work to understanding system architecture, design patterns, and complex problem solving from day one. Educational institutions also have a critical role to play in this transition. Computer science curricula must evolve to prepare students for a world where AI is a collaborator, not just a concept. This means teaching students how to effectively use AI tools, prompt engineering, and critically evaluate AI-generated code. The emphasis should be less on memorizing syntax and more on developing higher-order thinking skills. Students need to learn how to break down complex problems, design robust systems, and think about the ethical implications of the software they are building. The goal should be to produce graduates who can work with AI to solve problems that are beyond the scope of what either a human or an AI could achieve alone. Companies can also foster development by creating new kinds of roles specifically designed for learning. These could be AI-assisted developer apprenticeships, where a junior engineer's primary role is to partner with an AI tool to tackle a specific business problem. Their performance would be measured not just on the code they produce, but on their ability to learn, adapt, and drive a project forward using these new technologies. This approach turns the AI from a job replacement tool into a powerful teaching aid, providing immediate feedback and exposing the learner to a wide range of coding patterns and solutions under the watchful eye of a senior supervisor who can guide their critical thinking. Ultimately, this requires a significant investment in human capital. Leaders must recognize that cutting off the supply of junior talent is a short-sighted strategy that will harm their organizations in the long run. This means allocating budgets for dedicated mentorship programs, protecting time for senior engineers to teach and guide newcomers, and building a culture that values learning and experimentation. The return on this investment may not be immediately obvious on a quarterly balance sheet, but it is essential for building a resilient, innovative, and sustainable workforce. Companies that invest in growing their own talent will be the ones that thrive in the age of AI. Even as AI automates vast swaths of coding, there are uniquely human skills that remain indispensable and will become even more valuable. Junior developers should focus on cultivating these abilities. The most important among them is the skill of asking the right questions. AI can provide answers, but it cannot define the problem. A developer who can communicate effectively with stakeholders, understand user needs, and translate ambiguous business requirements into a clear technical strategy will always be in demand. This requires empathy, critical thinking, and the ability to see the bigger picture, qualities that are, for the foreseeable future, beyond the reach of any algorithm. The focus shifts from writing code to defining what code needs to be written. Furthermore, collaboration and teamwork are becoming more critical than ever. Building complex software is not a solitary activity. It is a team sport. A junior developer who excels at communication, provides constructive feedback, and works effectively within a team will be a far greater asset than a lone genius who cannot integrate their work with others. The ability to navigate team dynamics, resolve conflicts, and contribute to a positive and productive engineering culture is a deeply human skill. As AI handles more of the mechanical aspects of programming, the social and collaborative aspects of software development will come to the fore, creating opportunities for those with strong interpersonal skills. New roles and specializations will also emerge at the intersection of human and artificial intelligence. We will see a growing need for AI auditors or algorithm ethicists. Professionals who can scrutinize AI-generated code for bias, security vulnerabilities, and unintended consequences. There will be opportunities for developers who specialize in human AI teaming, focusing on how to build workflows and processes that maximize the combined potential of human engineers and their AI partners. These roles require a deep technical understanding, but they are fundamentally about judgment, ethics, and strategic oversight, areas where human intelligence remains paramount. The junior developer of the future might spend less time writing for loops and more time evaluating the fairness of a machine learning model. Ultimately, the path forward requires a conscious choice from industry leaders. They have an ethical responsibility to ensure that the incredible productivity gains from AI do not come at the cost of creating an insurmountable barrier for the next generation. This means committing to apprenticeships, investing in modern training, and intentionally creating spaces for newcomers to learn and grow. The future of technology depends on a continuous influx of new ideas and new people. By adapting our approach to training and valuing uniquely human skills, we can ensure that a career in technology remains an accessible and rewarding path for all, transforming AI from a potential gatekeeper into a powerful catalyst for human ingenuity.
There we go. Well, thank you for all coming in during the video. I use that video especially when we're doing training sessions for at universities. I do a lot of university speaking, and so everything in that video we actually do in real life. Let me get this up. Working. There we go. And it's not set on the right page. So, first of all, good morning, everybody. I hope you've got some coffee, some bagels out there. Thank you for having me speak at this event. My name is Chris Carter, and I am very fortunate that I get to speak about artificial intelligence, about technology. I've been doing that since a long time, when I had hair. Graduated from Georgia Tech and immediately went off into the world of SAP consulting, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and algorithms. First thing we want to do is we want to thank all our sponsors that came in today. Without them, these types of events don't get to go on, and we don't get to have the nice things that we get to do and be a part of it. Sir, you're late. You missed the video. No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
I don't see an app for that. You'll need to download one.
She loves me. That's what I get for being sassy. Nope, did I do? Yep, there's slide 3. Come on. There we go. I'm going to talk a little bit about why the junior developer is dead. And this really hits like a lead balloon when I speak at universities. I speak at probably 30 different SAP university programs every year. I'm very fortunate that one of my 3 companies is part of SAP's program. The second one builds algorithms and small language models. And I got to go this way, not that way, for SAP and cloud-based. And we use a lot of developers. I used to be a junior developer myself. I started, my first career was, some of us are old enough might know, punch cards and working in old mainframes in the basements of Coca-Cola Enterprises in Atlanta, Georgia, until they decided to get an x86 environment, which was fantastic. And I never had any of these activities or these tools to be able to help me. Now, myself, that video you just saw, I literally sat with my marketing team for 15 minutes and I came up with a platform of what I wanted it to say for 11 minutes. We literally let an AI tool create it. Now we did modify it because the human intervention is still there, and that's why we talk about it in the video. Just because you're a junior doesn't mean that you don't have a job capability. You need to extend your job capabilities. And one of the things I tell organizations outside of the college realm is look for those individuals who go above and beyond. Who are the ones that are actually willing to figure out and learn what their code is supposed to do with their managers? Who are the ones that are actually taking the initiative? Maybe they're taking project management classes. Maybe they're working in regards to a management structure that they know that these types of technologies, be it in healthcare, be it in manufacturing, or whatever the case may be, how are they leveraging those in the tools of today that are going to benefit the company that you're in, or as an employee for the company that you work for? So these are some great tools. Everybody in my organizations have these types of tools. We are an AI 1.B. I believe in my people. I believe in what they see. I believe in what they hear. I believe in what they work on, especially from a technology standpoint. I don't want them to go rogue or have the tools go rogue on us. We manage, run, and support some of the largest organizations in the world, from London Stock Exchange Group and Lloyd's Banks to healthcare companies. I want them to be smart enough to understand that technology is there to be a helper and to help guide them with their future and with what they're going to do to be able to move them forward. So, the vanishing entry point. I asked that this one be in there because it really has vanished. You can no longer just get through school, learn some code, think that you're going to get a job right away just because you can hit on a keyboard. If you want to do that, go become a hacker. I've got a lot of friends who are hackers. Go become one of those. If you're going to work for a company in today's technology realm, you've got to be so much more. You've got to be somebody that's going to think like the company that you're with, or you're going to have to think like your customer. So what you need to really have is you need to have those ancillary skills, I like to call them. Get into project management. Get into some management. Learn how to speak. I don't know if there's anybody still in college in this room. One young man, never say and yeah is not a word. Thank you. I hate that. When we get young people into our organization, I'm the last person that has to talk to them. And I will literally listen to what they're saying. And if they say 36 times, that kid's got to go and get some training. It's just the way that I am. Those are the types of things that when you're moving that realm from being a junior, and I see some of us have got a little bit less hair than others, so we've been through these processes. When we want to get to that next level in our careers and into the business profile, we have to learn how to speak to the customers. We have to learn to speak to our management. We have to learn to communicate with even the other team members in our organization. And if you're unable to do that, you've already set yourself back. So that's part of the junior developer going into the next level of developer. Now, as part of that, the code process of those, your capabilities to interact with tools. This is where the net new of technology. Come on in, sir. There's plenty of tables. You know, there's a seat right by these two good-looking young men. There's one in the middle here. The tools that we get to leverage today. Now, mind you, I'm 56. I know I don't look it, and thank you for the applause, and I'm married, so ladies, stop fighting for me. The tools that we get to play with today, holy cow. I literally am out there playing in new tools. I'm very fortunate I play with the team over in Atlanta at Georgia Tech and Tech Ventures and the groups. There are tools that people are creating right now that will just blow your mind on what we're able to do. I'm working with a company that actually 2 college kids created that I get to use from an SAP standpoint that I'm doing demos on and playing with. It's going to knock your socks off. And think of what we've done in just the last 5 years alone. Go back 10 years and it's incredible. These are the tools that you have to, well, it went forward. Sorry, did I do that or did it do it on its own? Sorry, this is being a little wonky, I apologize. So the tools that we're playing with are, here, we'll just go to the future of development. Those are the tools that we're using now that the junior developer must understand. Otherwise, they're not going to be in our ecosystem and they're not going to be able to play with our tools. Kind of like how I'm screwing up right now. If I had an AI bot that was running this for me, we wouldn't have to worry about that. So part of that is the talent development. I like having individuals come into our organization. I'm a huge fan of interns. So we bring in interns, and if they're at that cusp where they're kind of going to fall behind, I like to take them under my wing and say, okay, we're going to do this. This is what your summer program is, or this is what your internship program is. And I will literally go through these prospects or these processes with our team. I ask them to reimagine a training cycle for these individuals. Let's think about what our recruitment cycle is going to be. How are we going to leverage them? Would this individual be somebody that we will hire in our organization? And if not, what will take them to the level that we will hire them as part of our organization? I don't want to see any student left behind. I know that was some president, I don't know which president, and I don't get into politics, but it was somebody's in regards to the young kids. I'm that way when it comes to the college kids. There's too many college kids nowadays that are just doing the basics and thinking that they're going to get a job and a career right after college. Well, when I look at some of these young people over the last 5 years, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to hire you. You just don't have what I need. And that's where this whole process came from. And about 4 years ago, I started it with the SAP University program and other universities. I actually live between Atlanta and Wisconsin. So I go to the schools, Kennesaw, Tech, UW-Madison, and others, and we talk about that. What can we do to bring them up that level and to use the tools? I like this, the third piece, which is the restructure integration. I want to help them find a new direction, a new path. If you were just a Java coder, you got to be more than just a Java coder or a .NET. Or if you're in the SAP realm, or you're just dealing with ABAP codes and that, you got to be more. Bring that level up. It's not that difficult to spend a long couple of weekends taking a training class, getting a part of a management class, being a part of the other, join some groups. There's a lot of great groups up there. I actually just spoke a couple nights ago in Alpharetta, Georgia, with the Microsoft group. Learn Azure. Azure with Copilot, Azure with any other AI. You come into an organization and you have that capability, companies are going to fawn all over you right now. It is incredible. They want that knowledge and they grasp for that knowledge from their juniors. Come on. It's thinking probably because I put a big video in there a couple days ago. So anyways, who in here, well, I see a couple of young people. You're the college student. Where do you go to school, young man?
University of Tennessee, Knoxville.
Good school. So Tennessee Orange?
Yes, sir.
I know one song. My daughters would be very proud right now. Hell, I got my daughters to go to Def Leppard last night back in Wisconsin, so. There it goes. Somebody else like, yeah, thank you, sir. There we go. Here we go. Good school, great football. I love going to your campus.
Absolutely.
Of course, we are going to kick your butt in 2 years when you guys play Georgia Tech, but I'm just letting you know that in advance, young man. Here are some great opportunities amid all this disruption. I look for, and our recruitment teams look for, if you can write a proper prompt. A proper prompt is not, please write my resume for me. Wow, okay. I need you to have details. I want an app based upon this nice young man's light blue shirt, and I want that blue shirt to only have 2 buttons, and I want those 2 buttons to be pearl white, and I want it to be a short sleeve shirt, and I want the cuffs to be, or the sleeves to be. You need to go into detail. ChatGPT and AI has really allowed the common folk, I'm going to say common folk because my wife and my dad are those common folk. They don't get into technology. They don't even know what the hell I do for a living sometimes. So they'll sit there and my wife will literally go, can you put together a grocery list that I need based upon last week's grocery list? She gets it. Hon, we don't need this. I didn't eat any of this week. I still have this, and little things like that. But when it comes to us as developers, really start getting into who your customer is, what the tool is. Start using your brain and that, make a mind shift. And we call it a mind shift with our teams. Make a mind shift on how you're going to leverage those prompts. Because the more information you give it up front, and then modify it and tweak it, and that's the great thing. Once you put that, or let's just say we're going to use an app, what your app is or is going to be, you can continuously add to that. And so as a junior developer yourself, you build your customer profile or your application profile, and then you can continuously add to that. And it will learn from what it spit out earlier. And the nice thing is, it remembers those things. You can also keep that, you can keep the code, and you can play with the code, and you can do other things around it, and that's a huge thing. Make sure of the validation. You are the final eyes and ears as that developer to anything that goes out. I want our team, and this is what I ask our developers now, and since most of them are not juniors, you need to be the eyes, the ears, the taste, the everything of what you're going to put out. Validate, validate, validate. If you can't validate because you feel that you're not capable enough to be able to do those types of activities, you've got to learn how to do that. You've got to learn how to be able to understand what it is and how it is. Some of us are, as I stated earlier, we're a little bit more mature. We've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things since 1989. So I understand little pieces of code. And I realize kids fresh out of college are not going to understand those things. They don't teach those things in college. They don't even get to read about those things in college. But what they do need to do is they need to realize my gut feel says, no, I need to modify this. And then work with your AI tools, your chatbots, your other agents to be able to make those modifications. I'm going to skip down to human AI collaboration. Focus on optimizing. It's you and the AI tools. You and I cannot wait to get my first robot. That's going to be cool. I want to be able to have that interaction. My tools on my laptops, I interact with them continuously, pretty much 24/7, because I'm that guy that stays up till 2 in the morning. I have an interaction with it. It starts to learn my processes. It starts to learn. Those are the things that you need to do as a junior developer in order to become not a junior developer. And you need to have that optimization with each other to be able to understand how your two are going to flow together. But you also have other agents that you get to play with. I have a sales and marketing / agents. I've got 9 agents that literally I can go into the sales and marketing team and I can talk about ROI activities. I can build one-off PDFs that my marketing team hates that I do. I can build videos. I can build SEO-based landing pages, send them over to my team after I've been to a meeting with someone and said, I need this created, create it, send it over, and then they'll throw it up on our websites. But those are the things that you need to do together. And then I just hired an individual from Emory. They're going into their 2nd year of law school. They were a technologist at Tech. They went over to Emory, and they are all about the ethics. And I love that. AI could rule our world someday. If we let it. Terminator. It could possibly happen. It's growing and it's becoming faster. And AI is learning faster than we can, and we are. Throwing it out there. I know it is. But what we, as developers, and this is why I like that mid-level developer, I like hiring individuals who's got some ethics behind them. If you are a good human being, you're a good coder. If you're working with organizations that can benefit from AI, and you understand the ethical reason behind building an app or learning more from yourself, you're going to go places and you're going to do more. Ethics has got to be a huge component of your life. Second piece with that would be empathy. Understand the people around you, the customers that you work with, the staff that you work with, and have empathy towards them. I'm a senior guy. Again, I'm 56 years old. I want to be able to reach down and help a junior developer understand and learn life's lessons, and I can help them do that within an AI-based solution. So from those 2 things, think about it as ethics and empathy. If you're going to leverage that you're going to build some pretty incredible apps. You're going to be a step ahead of somebody that's just coming out and just a plain old keyboard warrior. Hey, I'm a graybeard. I was a keyboard warrior back when I was a kid. So I know what it is, and I had to change my mindset with those activities. So I highly recommend that component of the puzzle. So let's talk about our workforce here for a minute. We are reducing our entry-level positions, but I'm up-leveling who we bring in and what we bring in and why we bring them in. If I don't need the juniors, I may pay more, and I'm willing to pay more because the customers are willing to pay more. Now, some companies, like I saw this young man had Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. Some companies are about what their stock prices are. Some people are willing more about what their return on investments are. It really depends on the organization. My organizations, I want the best for my customers, the best for my staff, and in the end, we're going to get compensated for it. I'm a privately held company, so I can say that right now. But at the end of the day, you're going to have individuals within your organizations, or you as an individual yourself, you're going to be up-leveled. And now think about it. As I remember when I was a mid-level manager, man, I was always hoping that I was going to get an extra couple bucks here, I was going to get a raise, I was going to get promoted over. I wanted to go over to London, and I wanted to work on that team, and I wanted to be a part of it. It took a long time for that process. Now, with what we're doing from this level and moving up, you've already jumped up one level over everybody else. So if you're coming in from tech world and you can level yourself up, you're already one level advanced compared to everybody else within at least my companies, and I know several other companies around the globe that do that as well. So, team structures, they really do change. Now all of a sudden you've got, instead of juniors who are trying to fight to get up to management, you've got mid-level folks who've got management style capabilities thinking that they should be running the show. But they may not have all the skills and capabilities from a technical side, from an AI integration side. Again, if you're coming in at that level, the second level of a developer, and you don't have the capability to be able to talk management or talk to the customer, do not be afraid to talk to the customer. It's the only way you're going to get ahead in our ecosystem of technologies. If you sit in front of a customer and you are afraid to ask a question, you're never going to go. You may have the technology chops, but you're not going to have the management chops to take you up to the next level. So you need to work on focusing on those. That's why it's so important from a team structure. You're going to have the haves and the have-nots. Oop, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was still on. See, I didn't have my bots on. There we go. So let's go into the next one since it asked me to do that. Are we prepared? Are you going to adopt or are you going to fade away? Are you that individual that's going to say, yes, I'm going to upskill myself, and then in turn, I'm going to upskill my staff, bless you, and then I'm going to upskill the components that we need to make our clients and us successful together? Or are you going to fade away? What type of an individual are you? There's an uncertain future out there. AI is changing every single day. Like I stated earlier in this conversation, I'm seeing tools that are coming out not necessarily into the market, but are being developed by individuals. 22-year-old kids are revolutionizing what SAP migrations are going to be for our organization. It's incredible. 22 years old. Problem is, one of them can't talk to anybody because he's scared shitless, pardon my language. And we're trying to teach him and trying to get him involved, and he'll probably just stay as part of the tech team. The other individual, he loves talking about his tool. He loves talking about the future. He loves talking about his encouragement of his staff, his people, what they're doing. He will send praise on his people day and night. And he's 22 years old, so he's already upskilled, and he took what we told him 2 years ago at Tech, and he has just run with it. He took a bunch of management classes, he took speaking, he took a speech class. Those are the types of individuals that will really start to rock. And so if you're hiring, those are the people you look for. If you're that person, gravitate towards growing yourself. Grow yourself, because nobody else is going to grow it for you. They might give you the funds to go to the school for it, but grow yourself and have that motivation to be better. The other two, new opportunities are going to happen every single day. And then reimagine career paths. I never, ever in a million years thought that when I started in SAP that I would be working all these many years later, first in cloud, then in artificial intelligence, and now all I do is talk about AI with SAP on cloud-based systems and speak around the globe to organizations and individuals. Those career paths are open to everybody. You just have to open your eyes, take the initiative, and find out what you care about. Technology is still about what do I have fun with? What do I enjoy? Instead of just saying, hey, I'm stuck here doing keyboard work, think about the things that you enjoy from a technology perspective and wrap that around it and go forward with that. The new opportunities and the career paths are kind of one and the same, and so I'll move over. So I am going to play this.
If you're a tech student dreaming of your first developer job, listen up.
I like videos.
The rules of the game are changing fast. Here's what you need to know to stay ahead. Let's be real. AI is changing everything, and junior developer roles are right in the crosshairs. Automations, code generators, and AI co-pilots are doing the kind of work that used to be entry level. Companies are asking, why hire a junior when AI can handle basic tasks 24/7? But here's the twist. Tech isn't dead. It's evolving. The new junior developer isn't just someone who writes code. They're problem solvers, communicators, and fast learners who know how to work with AI, not get replaced by it. So what now? If you want to break in, start building projects that show you can use AI as a tool, not a crutch. Learn how to prompt tools like GitHub Copilot, but also how to debug its mistakes. Show off your creativity and teamwork, because soft skills are the one thing AI hasn't nailed. Yet. Bottom line, the junior developer job as we knew it might be on life support, but the opportunity isn't gone. It's just got a new set of rules. And you can win this game if you stay curious, stay sharp, and keep leveling up. The future belongs to those who adapt. If you're a tech student...
There we go. And that is true. It is, if you're willing to adapt, you are going to move forward. You're going to succeed. And I know I started the video early and I cut it late, but I wanted to save time for questions because usually I get bombarded, but this group seems to be a little bit more mature than my typical group. But ask questions. Nobody. Oh, wait. Sorry, can't be left yet.
So, as a manager,
Yes, sir.
you had a question on one of your slides there that I would like to get an answer to.
Yes, sir.
How do we prevent the loss of a generation of coders? Right? How do we keep the excitement in the college kids? And maybe he can answer this question for us. I got guys that work for me who have kids who are just someone in school. They're looking at these AI tools and they go, once you do something, they're going to replace it. Why should I do this? So how do we prevent that loss of a generation of coders?
Are you a coder, young man?
Yes, sir.
So what makes you motivated?
I've always just really enjoyed technology, and that was kind of my motivation behind. I'm a computer science major, so that's my motivation behind going for that degree in the first place. But personally, from my perspective, I have been a little bit worried about like AI, and I've heard a lot. And like, as soon as I declared my major, all my friends were like, "You're not gonna have a job. Like, AI's gonna replace you." And that's like my main reason why I'm in here to learn more about that. Hopefully, maybe get some good news, some hope.
So I'm going to give you bad news first. 4 ums. On good news, and to answer your question, Officer, there are a lot of motivated young individuals like this man. I was just at the Georgia Tech campus, and I was talking with fellow techies. And they're 18, 19, some of them, there was young men there at 16 years old, and they still love to code. And when you're a coder, when it's in your DNA, you may use tools. And we used to use a lot of different tools when I was young. But nowadays, what we do is it's a different set of tools. So you're still starting off with language models and how you're going to build activities, and you're still going to get in there and you're going to do some coding. You may not do as much, and you may let a tool do some of it for you. But that's where that shift comes in from those individuals, having them understand and knowing what they're looking for in that code, being able to check that code, validate the code, do the testing with the code. There's things that they still must do. So those individuals, And I'll say it again. It was so much fun to see a room of 30-some young men and women who still want to be on the keyboards, who still want to create, and have the brain set to say, I know I'm going to use these AI-based tools, but I know I also have to create over here. And they're playing that. They're going back and forth, and they're bringing things in GitHubs and other places. I'm like, well, where'd you get that on GitHub? Send me that link. And it's still out there. The young kids of America still want to go. So another question?
Yes, one other question. So the other slide, you talked about an education gap and universities needing to adapt quickly. You said you do a lot of talks with universities. Do you see schools like Georgia Tech, University of Wisconsin-Madison, are they adapting their curriculums to incorporate, these tools quickly?
So the politically correct answer is I never get involved with the curriculum for a university. Second, they were so scared, shitless, pardon my language, I believe, of these AI-based tools that they started outlawing and banning them. You cannot use ChatGPTs, you cannot use any of the GitHubs, you can't use it. And then all of a sudden, people are like, you do realize, instead of cutting off their view and only letting them see this much data and information, open up the world, let them get that information. Now they can use that information to have a better educational program. Because think about this. If you're writing a paper on, I don't know, I'm going to say indigenous people of Alaska. If you're only doing it from based upon articles that you can find in a library, or remember back in the day we used to have the Encyclopedia Britannica? Now that Encyclopedia Britannica is the entire internet. You let it go out there and find that information. You as a human being have to evaluate what is important, what is not important, and then be able to utilize it. That's what we're doing from a coding perspective. Let them, if you want to let them have access to everything. I personally have our company datas. We have multiple databases. Those databases are locked down. You can only use this data, or SAP data for here, or this data for over here. You cannot use, we don't want them to boil the ocean. So then you start getting into LLMs and SLMs and small language models, which I love. But at the end of the day, I tell universities and I tell professors, I just had a debate with the gentleman from UW-Madison. Let them have the world at their fingertips. Give them the ability to be able to take that information and decide for themselves what's important, what's not important. And then to be able to leverage it. And that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to become a more mature young coder. That's how you're going to become individuals who understand the world around you. And so I tell them all the time, I'm not here to tell you what your court or your college philosophies are, but I would let everybody have the world at their fingertips. And then let them make smart decisions about it and start opening up their mindsets to it. I think people are the human race is pretty smart to this point. God did a good job so far. Let's see how we evolve. Questions, please. Yes, young man in a cool floral.
Appreciate it. Right there for you. Less of a question, more of a statement.
Yes, sir.
About junior developers.
Yes.
You said in that video that guy looked a little too old to be a junior developer. I think that's very narrow-sighted, though, as we can see people 50, 60, 70 years old. I remember in college, I had people your age in my class with me. I'm almost 30, and I'm about a year into my career.
Nice.
So I think having that kind of gives that perspective to everybody. That
I love
too late
mature
to
people
get
coming to school and going back to school. I actually have an uncle in his 40s that went back and started, because I was literally in my teens when I was at Tech. I started at 17. And watching him see what I was doing, and decided he wanted to start doing Java coding because he was getting pinged by his company that he worked for in Port Washington, Wisconsin. I love that stuff. I think you should never stop learning. So yes, I make that comment about that guy on there, because typically I'm in universities, I'm not in group sessions like this. So he does look a little bit more mature than I would typically see inside of a university.
Yeah, I guess context makes a huge
Yes, sir.
difference there.
Somebody, that gentleman, yes, sir. I'll come to you next, sir.
The Blue Cross guy.
Oh, you got two of them, there we go.
Yeah. One of the main reasons I came in here is because, I wanted to learn a little bit about what the junior developers are learning in college when they come in. Because in a lot of ways, I feel like a junior developer with AI, even though I've been in IT for 30 years.
Yes, sir.
I really don't understand it at all. Are they coming in?
Well, let's ask the young man.
Yeah,
What do they teach you? Any AI courses? No, none whatsoever.
I mean, not until your higher level electives, you can take some AI-oriented classes, but they're extremely anti-AI. You can't use it to code. You can't even use it to generate ideas to code. I think
It's Madison as well. What was that, ma'am?
the higher level electives, yes, they're not required.
Okay.
But
They're my
yeah,
choice.
they're
Yep.
really against it, which I think,
And we're facing that at the only place that a couple are more of the technology-based schools.
I
There's,
kind of see it more of an enhanced Google for me right now. It's like,
yes, sir.
I use it for helping me with coding. I'll show it procedures like, hey, is this good or not? Can you improve it? But that's the extent I use it for right now. I really want to go further.
Oh,
Yeah.
just keep learning and learning and learning. Just one moment, you two. I promised this gentleman I would go
I'll
ahead.
shut up right there.
No. But that's exactly, because a lot of, again, I keep saying I'm older. When I started using AI, it was about 7 years ago, I started playing around with it. And at first it was just, hey, validate my code for me. Come in and validate my code. Well, then all of a sudden I started being able to, my consumer prompts and my sales prompts, and then I started building prompts that were pages and pages long that I would initially upload. I would start asking questions, and then I would modify and correct and clean. Then all of a sudden I would start doing pieces with some of the codes that I was doing from an SAP or from a cloud integration perspective with Azure. And then I decided to build a tool, and I started playing with that to do that. And it just takes time. It's baby steps, but you're just like a junior developer, sir. You're going to keep learning, and you're going to keep thinking things that you enjoy to learn about, and you're going to keep moving that forward in your career and just in your basic life to be able to play with it.
I appreciate it.
thank you.
Sir,
Yes. So one of your skills, I think, that was listed on the slide was, validating the AI element, right?
yes, sir.
And obviously, to use AI tools for software engineering that is a very important skill because
Yes, sir.
they're still producing, a lot of bad code, a lot of technical debt. That's going to create huge problems in the future unless you're able to validate it.
Yes, sir.
The problem is that the junior developers don't have the ability to validate the AI. And what's worse than that is that when they use the AI, they don't gain the experience needed, like to actually have that skill. Right? And I'm talking like my daughter is a recent, computer science graduate, right? And I've kind of seen that, like she used AI, whether it was allowed or not, at the university a lot. And I think some things, you just miss the opportunity to kind of learn some basic stuff that's actually needed, if you're ever going to be able to evaluate it.
You do. You have to have the basics. And then those basics of the computer development and the code development activities are going to funnel along with the new tools. I look at it for myself. I always think about the tools I was playing with where I was doing .NET and I was doing Java and I was doing ABAP. Well, those tools have now changed and been modified. So now I'm learning different paths or have been learning different paths. You got to start with the basics and you got to keep growing and moving forward, at least in my opinion. Learn the basics and move forward.
So my question, and really kind of I don't know, almost playing the devil's advocate.
Well, then don't do that.
It's
It's fine.
Wouldn't the junior developers be better off not using AI tools? Until they gain enough experience.
Perfect example right there. You can't use them until. So I'm assuming you're a junior.
I just finished my freshman year.
Oh wow, you look more mature, young man. So he can't use AI tools yet at college. So you're 18 now.
Yes, sir.
So 18 years old. So when he gets to that advanced level, and that's where you do see. And it's interesting that when at the university programs for SAP, they are also the same, especially a lot of them in Europe and such. They're playing with AI at home. They're playing with AI in their fun times. But when they get to university, the schools are not allowing them to play with it until X. But they're also taking what they're learning at university, coming home, playing with it inside of their AI and whatever tool they have, the GitHub, or and they're starting to learn a little bit more. So they're getting a dual education. They're getting the basics and the AI education. And I always find with those young students that are older and more mature students back there, if they're taking that code and they're coming home with it, they're playing with it and they want to learn more, dude, you've got somebody that is really willing to take on both responsibilities. That's pretty cool in my opinion. I know I used to do that. I used to go to class and then I'd come home and, okay, I don't know if anybody, you're going to be next, sir. Does anybody remember the Commodore VIC-20?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. That was my computer at Tech, 1987, the Commodore VIC-20 and Apple II. Those were my computers. I had them set up with a little slider on the back, so the black and white TV that I had as a monitor, I could play on either one. And
Channel 3 or Channel 4?
Yes, sir. I was always Channel 3 because I would literally code and record on my VIC-20, so I had back in the day, there was a thing called a cassette player. I know some of you, but we would take our girlfriend's cassettes, put them in there, put our code on it, and she would get really peed over. So we would do those types of things on one, and so I would do that. And then we had the big floppies, of course, and then the little floppies. So we would take that and we would go back and forth. And that's what, I love seeing the kids of today and the adults and anybody that's in technology playing with it in class, coming home and doing some more playing with it. Young man, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I went to Georgia Tech 20 years ago, and
What's a good word?
it's a hell of Georgia. They didn't teach us any web stuff, right? It was all enterprise Java at
Yes.
the time when all the hiring companies were using web. And then now,
Slow to transition.
as a senior engineer, like, if we're not really hiring juniors anymore, but like the people that are there are almost mandated to be using AI assistants during our regular jobs, right? And so the idea that you're not allowed to like play with these is ridiculous because Stack Overflow is done with. Nobody's contributing. I think their site traffic dropped off to like 1% of what it is or whatever over the last couple of years. But also, you know, if you're going to be lazy about writing an assignment or researching something, you just have a GPT do it for you.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't really want to learn. That's
Correct.
fine. But even as a senior, when I'm debugging something, if I watch the thought process of the AI there, I'll learn more about the code base or
Yes.
what it's doing than I would have if I did that myself.
I eat that up. I will sit with my team. I'm still that guy. I will go into our groups, no matter what team, if I'm flying to one of our locations, and I will literally sit inside there, and I will just watch the code being developed going, whoa, I know 168, and I'll take a note, and I'll see something else, and then I'll ask them to go back up into the code, and I want to see why that is doing that, I want to see this. As a seniors, I geek on that stuff, yeah. You'll geek on that too someday, young man. I guarantee it. You will get in there, and you will see your code start, and you will have that moment. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
Let it run, but monitor and watch and understand what it's doing.
There's an AI data group that happens every 2 weeks at the co-working space in North Shore. And one of the guys that showed up was like, you know, this is a superpower. You can learn anything you want, anything. Just ask it, and it'll teach you how to learn it. Right? And so, yeah, the idea that, I don't know, before it was like, yes, go to college, and then it was like, well, go to the boot camps. And now it's like, I don't know, just doing your own projects.
Go to a technical school and learn proper prompting and LLMs, and oh, he's making me stand up. Okay, you had one last question, sir. Sure? Okay, well, I thank you all. Have a great sessions here. We've got a great event here. I'm glad you guys are all here, guys and gals. Thank you. It's all yours, sir. I will escape it. Chris?